Hi, I'm Mitch,
And I'm Todd.
and we are the Grizzled Geeks.
And this week on the Grizzled Geeks, we talk about
Root authority issues and how browsers are handling it.
Asgardia. It was declared the first independent space nation this week.
Germany wants to ban combustion engines.
The HBO show Westworld has a God mode problem.
Black Mirror.
Iron Fist.
John Wick 2.
City of Titans.
And Maguss.
So the first topic we had was one of mine, and that was an experience that I had earlier this week where the root authority company Global Sign apparently had an outage. They accidentally revoked their intermediary cert, and when it did, it made several of their customers inaccessible, including Wikipedia, which I go to quite often. And I tried to go to Wikipedia in my Chrome browser, and Chrome said, I don't trust this site, so you shouldn't trust this site, and I'm not letting you in. I found that kind of exasperating. So I went over to Internet Explorer, tried there. Internet Explorer 2 said, no, you cannot get into this site. So I had our IA person in, and he was kind of helping me out with it. We tried importing a cert to see if we could get it in. And he said, well, let me go check on something. And he sent me a little note. He said, try Firefox. I went over to Firefox. It came up, and it warned me. It said, something's wrong with this site, but be my guest. Put our service to the test. So I went in and did what I wanted to do, looking at a 79 Mustang history. But then it struck me as something I find really annoying. A sure way to get yourself uninstalled from my computer is deny me access to something when I'm trying to do something. And that's what Chrome did. And Internet Explorer, I don't know if I could remove it from my computer or not. I can't remember where we are with that now. But certainly Chrome can be removed from my computer, and I was not happy with Chrome. If I say I want to go to this site, you can warn me and say that this something wrong with the cert, we don't like the site, whatever. But you better let me in. Don't just block me and give me no access to a website.
So I've run into this a couple of times in recent history at work, either our own issued certs and Chrome not trusting those, or self-signed certs over some of the sites as we're doing development work. And yeah, it can definitely be annoying, and especially for situations like that, I want to be able to override that certificate authority. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, but usually if it's an internal cert or something like that, I can just add that to a trusted CA or intermediate CA and get the chain into Chrome and get it working. But the average browser user isn't going to be able to do that.
And to me, it seems like a warning, should be a warning to Google and to Chrome, that if you make enough people angry, they will stop using your product. You don't have godlike powers yet. So
I mean, I understand what they're trying to do, though. They're trying to protect people. But if they protect people and just give them no recourse, but, hey, I can't access whatever the hell it is that I'm trying to access today, so sorry, either learn more or just go somewhere else, they're going to abandon it, maybe because they don't understand, or maybe because it's just a frustrating way to deal with it. They weren't very helpful. The error messages aren't all that great. So yeah, I don't know how much more time we want to really spend on it.
I'm done. I have vented, and I've given my warning to Chrome, and of course Global Sign. You really need to get your act together. Causing your customers to be inaccessible on the internet is a sure way also to go out of business.
All right, so the next one you had up here is about Asgardia. So is this a space station that is, or a space station that shall be?
I think it's a concept.
And is this guy a really big fan of the Thor comics by Marvel?
That's what it's sounding like. Russian scientist Igor Asherbely works for UNESCO's Science of Space Committee. He is the chairman of that committee. I'm assuming it's a serious science organization from what I read, but he has declared Asgardia the first independent space nation. They just need now to actually get into space. If they ever get people of Asgardia into space on a station or an asteroid or something, they are an independent nation. I'm thinking he may be jumping the gun a little bit. Maybe he might want to get into our favorite upcoming game, Star Citizen, and maybe create Asgardia there first and see how it works out. Personally, I would love nothing better to get with you and Tim and put our ships together and blow the crap out of Asgardia if he does that. But, you know, that's human nature. You build it and other people want to blow it up, right? Unfortunately.
Scientists, you know, go to space, and I don't know. I'm failing on that one.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I'm like, well, you know, you go, guy. I love to drive things forward. I love the idea of mankind moving out into the cosmos and expanding out into space. And I guess if they ever get there, they'll have their own laws, and they're going to be independent, neutral. He did say they'd be like Switzerland. They'd be completely neutral and not in the affairs of politics and things like that.
So he wants to be neutral, but how the hell is he going to get his space station up in space?
If he's waiting on the Swiss space program, he could be waiting a long time.
Good. I mean, even if you go commercial, you've got to have some serious coin to get that thing up and running. Or, you know, pay the Russians to do it. I mean, I guess it's no different than other satellites or whatever.
Yeah.
But supplies become an issue, you know, that kind of thing. Just the taxi service back and forth because you can't keep your guys up there forever. I don't know. The concept of a truly independent space station or space nation, I get
space nation station.
The nation bit is throwing me off a little bit. You know, if he was colonizing, you know, another planet or something like that, sure, call it a nation. If it's orbiting our planet and dependent on us completely, it's not a nation.
Yeah. But you know, maybe the first 8 or so. The first 8 won't work out, but maybe the 9th one, they could move it out into deep space. And maybe once they have Deep Space 9, it'll work. All right, do you want to move on to your article about Germany wants combustion engine ban?
Yeah, so I thought it was an interesting article. They're not talking about it right away, but let me open it up so I actually have facts to talk about. So they're talking about by 2030, they want to move towards zero emission vehicles. They think you know our technology's gone far enough by now that that we need to start moving in that direction, and putting in a hard stop, a deadline for people is the way to speed that progress towards all zero emission vehicles. So whether it's electric or hydrogen fuel cells or, you know, whatever the next big thing is, they want us to get there by 2030. And you know, I don't have a whole lot of intelligent discourse to bring to the table about this. I just saw this, and you know, it a few years ago it felt like electric vehicles or you know, the zero emission vehicles were kind of a neat concept, but it was more of a toy concept, a hobbyist type thing, or someone with a lot of money to burn was able to get into the game. But for the average citizen, it's a lot harder. You've got to have something that works for you every single day and isn't super expensive to buy and super expensive to maintain. But you know, do you think they're getting closer to a reality of everybody being able to afford this?
I think the companies leading the forefront on this, really pushing this, of course, are Tesla, Nissan with the Nissan Leaf. If the Nissan Leaf ever gets above 100-mile range, they're cheap enough that they could really be a paradigm shift in how people commute. I've driven one. I've driven Hughes. It's a very nice car. I like it a lot. It rides really cool. And of course, the Chevy Volt, I've been in one of those before too, and I like those. So my feeling on it, this is a sort of an interest of mine. I've done a lot of research and read a lot of back and forth arguments and debates and chat sessions and things about this, and I kind of get it. My personal opinion on it is I welcome it. I really look forward to it personally, but but I believe it has to be freedom of choice. And I like the way Tesla's going about it by making cars that are so fast and impressive that they put to bed all these people going, oh, I ain't getting no crappy electric car. I got me a V8, you know, and they're showing time and again. I just watched a video with Tesla's Model X pulling an Alfa Romeo C4 while beating an Alfa Romeo C4 from the line. So it's racing an Alfa C4, and it doesn't show it at first. It's racing it, it's beating it, and I'm like, big deal, I've seen this before, until the camera pans back and you realize he's pulling an Alfa C4 on the trailer behind him and beating the other Alfa C4. So I like electric cars. I'm looking forward to zero emissions. I used to be an environmental scientist for 8 years. I'm all about, you know, saving the environment, and I work cleaning up the mess that oil companies leave behind. I've heard a lot of things about hydrogen, for instance, about how dangerous it is and how explosive it is. And you and I have had conversations about just how explosive gasoline vapor is.
Yeah.
I remember a tanker on the Beltway over in Maryland flipped, caught fire, and almost burned the bridge to the Beltway down. It was such huge flames. There's a lot of damage there, and they had to shut the Beltway down for a long period of time. Diesel is very poisonous. I've been to sites where it leaks into the groundwater, and it's really hard to clean up because it's so heavy. Gasoline wants to be a volatile. It's a little easier to clean up. If you give it half a chance, it'll convert to gas form, and you can clean water much easier than cleaning diesel. Diesel's kind of a mess. So the current internal combustion engines we're using, they make messes in the ground. Here in our own little town, at one point, one of my jobs that I did was cleaning gasoline out of the pumping gas out that had gotten into the courthouse elevator shafts, had leaked in there. So, you know, gasoline has its problems, but I do believe it should be a phased-in approach. I think it's something people should choose, and I think that it's incumbent on electric car manufacturers to make their car better, to make them the better choice. There has to be a cool factor. If I'm going to get out of my Mustang and I'm going to get into your little, you know, zero-emission car, it better not suck.
Well, and I think Tesla's doing a great job of doing that. I'd love to have a Tesla. I can't afford a Tesla, but I sure as hell would love to drive one. And whenever the new what's the new model they're coming out with, when the new affordable model of the Tesla comes out, then it brings it into range of, you know, another new car, $30,000.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'll be ready to buy a car then when it comes out, but I'm excited, and I think it could be a game changer. They're still putting Tesla chargers everywhere, so you can drive across the country now and not even have to buy any gasoline.
Well, and I think as they become more common, charging stations will also start to pop up. We'll see more spots in, a grocery store parking lot that would accept a chargeable car, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely interested in it, but let's move on to our next topic. We had talked a little bit about Westworld before. I love the show. I love watching it. I'm interested to see where it's going. But watched the last episode, second episode, last week, and I got to thinking about it. And while there's a couple of mysteries going on, I think that they've got a little bit of a problem. I was thinking about it in the terms of video games. How when I'm playing a video game, I don't go and do what I'm blanking on the name again.
Ed Harris?
Ed Harris. Thank you. I keep forgetting Ed Harris's name. I'm terrible with names. But Ed Harris is just going and killing everybody. And I don't see how anyone would find the draw of that kind of thing long term. And I started thinking about it in terms of video games. I've gone into video games and backed up a save file or whatever, and then just decided to go and go on a killing spree or whatever in Fallout or Skyrim or something like that, and you throw on God mode and then just go to town. Nobody can touch you. You get all the shiny loot and play around, but that quickly gets really, really boring. So
it can ruin a game. After I told you in Fallout 3 when I got my Batman suit and it made me invincible. After a couple hours of playing, I never went back to the game. It ruined it for me.
So maybe they're going to add a little spice to things with the whole Dolores and not able to kill a fly type of thing. If Ed Harris really has a little bit higher stakes, then maybe it adds a little more risk to whatever it is that he's trying to do. But I really don't understand where he's trying to go, and the whole maze thing. But we'll have to see how that plays out. They've talked about having 5 seasons worth of story planned out already.
Wow.
I read an article this week or last week about that. So they've got to have enough plot lines going and things that aren't just going to be resolved all at once in this one season. And it's not like Game of Thrones where you've just got a big story to tell and it's going to take a long time to resolve. This is something that, part goes haywire, and it fits nicely into a movie. It fit nicely into the original movie. It's like a disaster thing. Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs get out and resolve that at the end of the movie. So I don't know. I'm still really interested to see where they go, but it seems like they've got a couple of problems, and I'm very excited to see what they do to get out of those. But
one problem that I have with the show, and it's a very minor one, and I'm sure it's just me, is Dolores, the name Dolores. Every time somebody says the name Dolores, I see Jerry Seinfeld come running out going, Dolores! I don't know if you ever saw that episode where he was...
I must have missed that one.
He couldn't remember the girl's name. He only knew that it rhymed with a female body part. And he tried Mulva, and that wasn't it. And she left, and then it hit him, Dolores! So... every time they say her name, that's what I think of. The other thing I wanted to say is after watching that episode, I have torn down my old Farrah Fawcett poster, and I've put up a Thandie Newton poster now. She's now my new hero. She did a great job in that episode. I think that probably was more a visceral moment for women watching that, more of a fear for them than it was for guys. Guys, there were some distractions in there where I may have missed some things. I had to go back and watch that scene a couple of times to make sure I didn't miss anything. But like James Marsden being dead on the, in that room.
And the cube.
In the cube where they were washing all the bodies off. I almost missed that the first time. But I noticed him on the 4th, 5th, 6th time I watched it.
So just, right up front, spoilers.
Yeah. Spoilers.
So yeah, she's one of the mysteries or the access to previous memories is one of the mysteries. The whole the fly and what does that mean is another mystery, and maybe those two are connected. And then the whole maze thing isn't a mystery. And then in the last episode, towards the end, they did introduce another mystery, which is our Hannibal Lecter. Blanking on his real name as well.
Anthony Hopkins. Sir Anthony Hopkins. Excuse me.
Sir Anthony Hopkins. He just likes to pair his liver with a fine wine.
I'm just waiting for him to say that to somebody. Hello, Clarice.
So him introducing his idea for what's next in Westworld and going out to that chapel in the middle of the desert. That was interesting. Who the hell is that little kid? Is he really vacationing there, or is he more of a, pet automaton? Who knows? Interested in how that goes.
I love the fact that he crapped on that smug bastard's grand plan for his next storyline. The guy presents it all, and he's just like, that sucks. So yeah, I like this show.
About it doesn't tell me about what the customers want. It tells me exactly who you are.
Yeah.
I'll go hang my head in shame now.
It wouldn't surprise me to find out in the end of the movie that everybody is a robot. He's the only living person there. He's made them all to run the park. That wouldn't surprise me.
a crazy thing, right? He survived the first movie, and they left him there. The rest of the world has gone on and quarantined off the Westworld park. But he was trapped in there. The first couple of years, he's like, "Hello, anybody there? I guess I'll just make myself a friend."
Yeah. That'll be the twist in the very end. That'll take 5 years to get to.
So yeah.
So speaking of twisty, weird science future-y thingies,
I just want to say, if you actually get that one right, I'll have to buy you lunch or something, because that would be an amazing prediction.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I had an amazing prediction last night that the Nats would lose, and that one came true. So enough,
All right.
enough about that.
Yeah. So next one we had up on the list is Black Mirror. So Black Mirror, originally a BBC show. I love them. I didn't hear about them until they showed up on Netflix. I consumed all of them as soon as they came out. I'm a big fan of a lot of the BBC shows that show up on Netflix. But this one is it's a really weird and out there. It takes that whole science fiction what if thing and then takes it to a really dark place. Usually in a really dark place. It's what if it's usually what if, and then something goes wrong, or somebody doesn't think about something, or whatever, and somebody usually gets screwed in the end. But
yeah,
no pun intended on that first episode.
Pig Man. The previews that we watched right before we started, it looks so good. I have to go and watch more of the first season, but the second season, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm a big fan of Ron Howard's daughter, whose name escapes me right now.
Dallas.
What is it? Dallas.
Bryce.
Yes. Bryce. Yes.
So,
her.
Look at me coming out with the names.
Nice pull. I'm a huge fan of her. I think she's fantastic. I could stare at her all day. I see a pattern here. I have a problem, I think.
And so they've got 6 episodes, right? And I've only seen I saw the write up for all of them at one point. But yeah, that one looks interesting. Discussion on social media and how self-obsessed we can get into that kind of thing. The 80s one, I have no idea what's going on in that one, but all of it just looks really good. Augmented reality or virtual reality one. Interested to see where they go with that one. That one's kind of near and dear to my heart, at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch them. I'll try to binge them. I just have such a long, growing list of shows that I have to catch up on. That it just seems endless. My summer shows, I still haven't finished watching my summer shows like The Strain. I've had them pause. Killjoys, I haven't finished Killjoys yet.
I'm just gonna say, and yet you are rewatching Chuck.
Chuck takes me to my happy place. I'm telling you, the whole time I sit there and watch Chuck on my tablet while my wife is watching Grey's Anatomy or something, I just laugh and smile, and it reminds me of when I used to watch it with my daughters. I love the show. I love the characters, and I don't remember what happened on the show. It's like I'm watching it for the first time. And the fact that Netflix is canceling it November 1st makes me almost want to cancel. It's the first mistake I think Netflix has made, is canceling this on November 1st. So
I don't think Netflix is going after Chuck personally. I think that Netflix has deals with the networks or wherever the source for the material, and stuff goes in and out, and they don't have a whole lot of control over it. I'm sure they'd love to keep it around to keep Chuck fans like yourself, in easy access to Chuck. But I'm sure as each of the networks are coming out with their own streaming services and that kind of thing, that it's going to be harder and harder for Netflix to hold on to those kinds of things, which is smart on Netflix for going out and starting to try and produce their own shows. Black Mirror, we mentioned, that was originally BBC. Netflix picked that up. Luke Cage, something we're really huge fans of. That's on Netflix. All the Marvel stuff's on Netflix. And another Marvel one on Netflix, Iron Fist.
It's not really iron. It's more old fleshy bone, but I'm looking forward to that. You know me, love the comics. I had this one comic when I was a kid with Iron Fist and who was the sidekick? There's two sides. It might have been Luke Cage on one side and Iron Fist on the other, but it was a team up, a Marvel team up, and it was a great classic cover. Big fan of Iron Fist. I love the series where he loses the Iron Fist to this other martial artist and he has to try to train extra hard to win it back. I remember that. The guy pretty much just kicks his ass and then grabs him and like pulls him to the chest, and something about the tattoo transfers the power of the Iron Fist and he loses it. And so I'm watching it. I'm on the fence about the choice of actor. I know you like the choice of actor. I might like it a little better without the really cheesy looking.
A little bit weird. You know, he was good in Game of Thrones.
So I've heard. I don't know. But the previews look great. I love the scene with the where he knocks the section of the wall down using the Iron Fist. So I'm all in. I'm sure with the writing that we've seen so far in the other 3 shows, it'll be fantastic because I'm still watching Luke Cage. I watched the episode where it tells the story of how he got his powers. Love that episode. It was a great episode. So I'm loving some Luke Cage. Michael Coulter is a heck of a specimen of a guy. So I can actually get my wife to watch it with me. So that works out really well. And of course, looking forward to the Defenders series when that comes out after they've finally introduced all 4 characters.
Yeah, and just announced, I think, this week, Sigourney Weaver is going to be in the Defenders as a villain.
And I have just found the second flaw in Netflix. It's taking Chuck away and putting Sigourney Weaver in anything.
What? You don't like Sigourney Weaver?
I think it was ever since Working Girl, when she played the uptight boss. After that, that's like the role I see her in. I almost imagine she's like that. Well, she was okay in Avatar, but I don't know.
In Working Girl, I've never seen that. Sounds like a different kind of movie. But yeah, she was okay in Avatar. But for me, I always think of her as Ripley from Aliens.
Yeah, and I admire the fact that she stuck with that franchise even into Alien Resurrection. Some people will give up on a franchise and they can't do any more movies because they can't get the lead actor to come do it. But she hung in there after that 3rd crappy movie and made a 4th crappy movie.
So all I'm going to say about Resurrection, I know it's not universally popular the way Alien or Aliens is. Aliens being probably the most popular. But Sigourney Weaver kicked ass. I liked where they went with the android, and Ron frickin' Perlman. I love him in anything. I even watched that stupid ass Beauty and the Beast way back in the day
with Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman.
Yeah. So
Linda Hamilton, who plays the mom on Chuck.
Mom on Chuck?
I'm in that season right now, in the 4th season. So
4 seasons?
What's that?
There's 4 seasons?
There's 5 seasons. I just started the 4th season, and they just introduced Linda Hamilton's character.
Well, if I had any plans to even think about trying to get from where I am right now, like a third of the way through the 1st season, to try and play through all of it by November 1st, that's just gone right now. Thank you for killing that one for me.
So I'm sorry, I've derailed us off track again with Chuck. I think we were talking about what the hell were we talking about?
So we were talking about
hopefully we're talking about Alzheimer's medications, because apparently I need one.
we went from Iron Fist to Netflix, and then Sigourney Weaver in Defender.
Yes, Sigourney Weaver. So I was going to say, my one problem I had with Resurrection is the one actor that was actually kind of interesting in that movie was the guy from Robin Hood that they killed off like half an hour into the movie. He was the one guy I thought that was kind of interesting, and then he like falls through the grate or something like that, and they, gets killed. And I'm like, they just killed off the best actor in this show. But I still enjoyed. I watched the movie. It was okay. It was better than the 3rd one. As crappy as it was still head and shoulders above that dismal, depressing 3rd movie.
So yeah, the 3rd one has problems, and the third one wouldn't be nearly as hated if they didn't start the movie with destroying everything that they worked so hard to preserve in the end of the second one. Just saying.
I hate when movies do that.
If, Newt and Hicks made it to the ground with them and then got killed off 5 minutes into it, it would be hated so much less than, just killing them off in the freaking credits. So, all right.
Yeah.
So we didn't even sign up to talk about aliens.
I know, we've segued.
The whole series, even the third one, and especially the fourth one. But so the other movie we actually had signed up to talk about is John Wick 2. I don't know where they're going to go with this one. John Wick just looks like a complete and total badass, and I'm ready to see more John Wick. Hopefully they don't kill his dog this time.
It looks like it's like in Japan or something. So maybe the Yakuza sends somebody in, they kill his beta fish. And that, it's like, my beta fish! Whoa! And he goes seeking Morpheus. That was the biggest surprise to me. We're watching the trailer, and I'm like, Neo and Morpheus together again.
I really like Lawrence Fishburne as an actor. He's great to see, but at some point in time, and I'm not going all body sizist or anything like that. I got a few extra pounds I need to shave off. But as a successful working man in Hollywood, he let himself put on a few pounds.
First time, he's earned it.
The movie Predator, or Predators,
was what?
Lawrence Fishburne putting on weight.
Yeah, wow, he was big in the second. Well, I know you don't believe this exists, but there was a second and third Matrix movie, and Fat Morpheus appeared in those.
You keep saying that there's a second and third one, but I don't believe you.
I'm telling you, there was a second and third one.
Why would they make a second and third one? They ended the first one right at the right spot. They left it on a nice cliffhanger. You get to decide whether it's good or bad from there. He does a Superman thing in the end. They roll credits, and then end of the franchise. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, if only they'd left it there and hadn't done the whole Alien 3 thing. So I was just thinking about Lawrence Fishburne. The first time I saw him in a movie, I didn't realize he wasn't famous then, but he was in Death Wish 2 or Death Wish 3. I think it was 2. And he was like a street thug. I think he's holding a boombox, and he gets shot with a 44 like through the boombox, and his teeth go flying out. I remember that. And then I found out that Jeff Goldblum got his start as one of the thugs in the original Death Wish that kills Charles Bronson's wife and daughter. He breaks into the house. I was watching it one day. I saw the scene. I'm like, holy crap, that's Jeff Goldblum. He's got to be like 16 years old.
So I just, while we were talking, I had to pull up his filmography. Batman versus, Perry White. I was about to say Batman versus Superman.
Did you say Fat Man versus Superman or Batman?
I said Batman. He's in the movie that we talked about last week, Passengers. The movie that's set up to make all the money in the world, with with Star-Lord and Hunger Games actor Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt.
Yes.
It's amazing how when you're talking about it and can't think of the name, I'm just Johnny on the spot. But as soon as I try and get it out, something that I'm trying to talk about here, I can't remember a damn thing.
I was trying to pull up IMDb and help you out, but I wasn't fast enough because I got to reach halfway across the room to reach the keyboard.
Yeah, I mean, he's a busy man. 103 credits as an actor. Yeah, he deserves, however he is to stay, happy and healthy. I hope he stays around for a while.
He's an actor's actor, and we don't give Anthony Hopkins a hard time since he's put on a few pounds since being Hannibal Lecter.
He has.
He's eaten a shit. He's eaten a lot of fava beans and Chianti. I'll say that.
that goes so well paired with a nice liver and wine.
And of course, the sweetbreads. He likes the sweetbreads.
Yeah, I knew somebody that actually liked sweetbreads and ate them once in front of me.
All right, I don't want to take us off script, but I just saw on IMDb's
Start now.
page Rogue One, a Star Wars story trailer 2 is out. I haven't even seen the first one, I don't think, but the second trailer is out.
Yeah, I saved that one to watch. I'm trying not to hype myself up for any of the Star Wars movies. I think that did a good job with the first movie since they've taken it away from Lucas's hands. I think they needed to do it. So we've talked about this personally a number of times, and we're way off track, but I don't care. This needs to be said, for the record. Someone needed to tell George Lucas no long time ago, and now that he's not a part of the project, I think that he can do smaller roles, but he came up with terrible ideas, and he was so big, and everyone was afraid to say no, that we got the prequels, and Jar Jar Binks, and the digital edits, and that god awful scene where a CGI Jabba the Hutt that looks like it was made in Computer Arts 101 has Han Solo fake walking over him. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Who approved that?
He needs a nemesis. Whenever he's in creative meetings and rooms and he's brainstorming, he needs to assign somebody with a strong personality to be his nemesis. Somebody who, every time he comes up with an idea, no matter what it is, to tell him how many ways it's shit. And if he had that, I was thinking about this. I was talking about this with a coworker at work, and he brought up the fact that in the movie, not Z Nation, World War Z, when Brad Pitt goes and they say the Israelis were the only ones prepared for this, and they said because every time they're in a room, they always have one person who's the no guy, one person who says, and then they all go with whatever he says. So it's kind of like that. He needs that person in there, the nemesis, to always tell him no and to make him prove why his idea is a good idea and not just total crap. But when you get that big and you get that famous, everybody around you is a sycophant and a suck-up, it is hard to, it happened to a lot of people. It's happened to Elvis. I mean, Elvis really thought he knew karate and could throw people around the room. He really thought he was a federal agent. And it was because, the ego goes crazy. Michael Jackson, I mean, just people get so rich and so crazy, so powerful, nobody around them puts them in check, and they lose touch with reality. And I think Lucas might be suffering from a little bit of that, too much power.
All right, so before we get back on track to the next actual topic, I want to go one level down in the rabbit hole here that we've keep burrowing down into. And if they were so damn prepared in that movie, why the hell did they let people sing over the intercom and call all the zombies over the wall? So you don't have to answer that. You couldn't answer that. I just want to leave that question out there for the internet.
They ate the no guy. They got sick of him and they threw him over the wall to the zombies. He was like, no. And they're like, catapult.
All right. So on to the couple of games that we have talking about tonight. So both of these are GoFundMe type games. Kickstarter for City of Titans. I haven't heard a lot about this. I never played City of Heroes, but I know you're a huge fan. Tell us a little bit about it.
About City of Titans or City of Heroes?
City of Titans. I'm familiar with City of Heroes by now.
Yeah, my family was really into City of Heroes. All my kids. The only one who wasn't was my wife. She's the only normal person in the family. And so we all had accounts. We were paying for like 3 accounts. We all loved it. And when it went under and they turned off the servers, we were heartbroken. It wasn't long after that my kids got wind of this City of Titans. I think it was maybe 2012, 2013 when they announced they were going to be doing this on Kickstarter. Right now, it's got 5,000 backers, and it's got pledged $678,000 or so far, which doesn't seem like a lot of money, especially when you compare it to something like Star Citizen. But recently, a lot of people have been complaining that, hey, it's been 3 years and still no City of Titans. All we have are mostly some sort of proof of concept videos and a few concept arts, things like that. The videos they have showing things moving, none of them even have any skin on them. So it's very rudimentary. And the designer said something that was kind of interesting. It points to how impatient we are when we find out about something. They pointed out that, hey, usually you don't even know a video game is coming out until it's almost done. And they start leaking to the press. They start, hey, we're coming out with this big game. It's going to be called No Man's Sky. And it's coming out so they don't have to sit through the entire 5 years that it takes to make something like this and get it out. So what they're saying to people is, give us a chance. We're still developing this. It's still on track, and it's going to be coming out.
So you mentioned No Man's Sky, and sounds like they're not really giving the fans for this, that backed it 3 years ago, very much in the way of communication. So I just wanted to point out that this is where, these kind of Kickstarters where they need to get money, early on in the project, have to deal with things a little differently than a traditional project that gets funded by some studio somewhere, a publisher, and they get money up front to be able to build this thing, on the promise of doing it, but don't have to also keep, a community going and keep fans going and all that kind of stuff. And where I think that Star Citizen has done it really well. Now I know, there are, over the last year and a half, there have been a number of cases where people have been calling out Star Citizen and saying how it's just, a pipe dream, and they didn't have anything, and buying $100, screensavers or whatever. But the whole time, all of that was going, the controversy over whether the studio is being mismanaged or whatever, I was actually able to get into, the early alphas. I'm a backer and I have access to it, and play the game. And so I knew what was there, and I knew that it was rough. It's in an alpha state. But, not only that, they put out weekly videos, and they interact with the community on Reddit, and in the forums and everything. I think they've done a really good job of engaging with the community. If you want to be engaged with, they're there, and they're putting out content all the time and talking about the process, and really making the game something amazing. Now, they've gone completely and totally off track, kind of like us in this episode, with adding things in that weren't in the original scope of the game. But they're making a game that they want to play, and the fans keep backing them and giving them money to do it. So they must feel like they're on the right track.
Yeah, I need to go pledge, because I'm getting very excited as it gets closer and closer to coming out. It just looks like it's going to be fantastic from everything that I've seen. So I'm hoping City of Titans will follow suit in what they come out with, a game where you create your superhero character, you get to spec them out with their powers, you get to set their appearance, their costumes, whatever, and then you go out and fight bad guys. And as much as I love City of Heroes, sometimes it got, there was the grinding, the leveling up, where how many times can you run around the streets and you go and you fight a gang and you take them all out and you get some experience, and you come back 5 minutes later, it's the same gang standing in the same corner. So it sometimes it seemed like you weren't really getting anywhere. You weren't really cleaning up the city. So I don't know how you get around that when you're doing a game like this.
Well, and doing an MMO these days is kind of a hard proposition too. What kind of model do you go with? Do you go with a paid subscription? I don't know that really works anymore. How do you go free to play or freemium, or how does that work? What's your business model, and how are you going to get people to sit and play your game? But yeah, you can't just leave people cold and dry like it. And I'm not familiar with the Kickstarter or the community around it. And so if I'm misspeaking, I apologize. But it doesn't sound like they're doing a great job managing their community the way they should.
Yeah, I need to go out and maybe do a little more research because I looked through the Kickstarter page and they have news updates. So they're pretty frequent news updates on the Kickstarter page. But I don't even know if they have a site that's set up as elaborate as the is it Robert Industries site?
Yeah, Space Industries.
Yeah, that's a very impressive site. So if City of Titans would set something like that up and maybe flesh out the characters and the art a little bit more, maybe they could generate a little more excitement. And then
all that costs money, though.
Yeah,
and the way that Chris Roberts and the Star Citizen team has been funding that, they have people that subscribe that pay monthly subscriptions. They get essentially like a newsletter and some insider type stuff, but all of the money from those subscriptions don't they go to making the weekly or bi-weekly videos that they do. So all of that money goes towards the community interaction. They've built in funding for that. They had a plan for it up front.
And Roberts, is that his last name or first name?
Chris Roberts.
Chris Roberts. I think Chris Roberts also had a certain level of cachet and respect. People believed in him because he's been there, done that. I mean, Freelancer was a great game for what it was. And so when they came out and said they were doing this, it was completely believable. Like when Elon Musk says he's going to do something, people believe he's going to do it. The City of Titans people, I don't know anything about these developers. I don't know what they've done in the past, if they had any affiliation with City of Heroes at all, or if this is just a bunch of fans who are trying to hire some programmers and build a game.
Well, and they may not have the management chops to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad. I love seeing studios or developers be able to use a platform like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whatever to get crowdfunding to be able to make something that maybe a publisher wouldn't believe in. They said, "Oh well, we already did City of Heroes. It failed. How are you going to make this and make it work?" Well, they've got a neat idea, and I hope they can get the thing off the ground and maybe breathe some life into it so people that back it get a little something out of it.
I wonder if there've ever been any podcasters starting out who are like putting together East German surplus equipment and trying to do a podcast who've ever tried to maybe launch a Kickstarter thing to get funded and get some better equipment that actually works. And
I think there have been, but they have to have more viewers than we currently have.
We have a viewer, maybe two. I think two. So they would only have to pledge something like $50,000 a person, and we'd be set.
I don't think we count.
Oh no, I know of two other people who have watched the podcast now, two coworkers. So that's not exactly where I want to grow the audience. That's something I'd like to avoid spreading out there at the office place, the knowledge of that. But
yeah.
So the last topic that we have is yours. Maguss or Maguss? Matt, how do you say that?
I honestly don't know. I'm going to call it Maguss because that actually sounds good.
All right.
So, essentially, the concept is what you have with Pokemon Go, augmented reality, go out into the world, find things, that sort of concept, and then you have essentially wizarding things. There's an optional wand accessory that you can use to do the magic sigils and all that kind of stuff. You mix potions and do quests and fight monsters, and you can duel people and that kind of thing. But my kids were completely and totally enamored with Harry Potter. I love the series as well, and I like Pokemon Go. I was never a huge Pokemon fan to begin with, though, and I understand that if you are a Pokemon fan, Pokemon Go was just the second coming almost. It was something that they've been waiting for forever. This to me feels closer to that, and I know there are a lot of Harry Potter fans out there, and and they go well out of their way to let you know that it is not a Harry Potter game, and they don't have official licensing with Warner Brothers to do Harry Potter, but that's the concept they're going for.
No, hopefully they'll be successful with it. I've been getting a little tired of the Pokemon thing. I haven't played it much lately.
The other reason I wanted to bring it up here, and not that we have very many viewers or anything like that, but the Indiegogo campaign is live right now. They've got about another month or so left. They're maybe between a third and halfway to their goal, and just wanted to spread the word. I think at this point I'm going to back it. My daughter's really, really interested in it, so if nothing else, my daughter and I will to play around with it or whatever, or she'll get a little wand accessory that she can put up on her bookshelf. But I'll have to let you know how it goes. I definitely will not be bringing it anywhere outside of my neighborhood to show off or anything like that.
You can bring your wand to work and run around the shop and wave your wand.
I am not going to bring my wand to work.
Damn it. I wanted to get that on video.
I'll bring the wand to work and go wizarding all over the office before I do.
All right. Well, it looks like we've been doing this now for just about an hour and 5 minutes, which is pretty good time, but it seems like it may be time for us to do a wrap.
Yep. All right. So my name's Mitch.
And I'm Todd.
And not with us tonight, but with us in our heart,
Tim. In our heart.
Yes. And we are the Grizzled Geeks.
The Grizzled Geeks. Thank you, everyone.
Watching. And subscribe if you like it. Leave any comments, that sort of thing. Eventually, we'll figure out how to put this actually into podcast form and let people listen to it on podcast players. But for now, we're here on YouTube. All right. Thank you and good night.